How's it going, everyone? Champions OU has new viability rankings, and after looking at them, if you play the tier, you'd probably realize that some of these placements are really bad, like really long. For example, Delphox being B plus, or Charizard Y being B minus, or Corviknight not being in S tier. So, because of that, there have been a lot of people who have stated that these need to be changed, and I'm one of them. I recently made a post stating all my opinions on some of the big changes that these rankings need. And today I've decided that I'm gonna go through all the Pokemon that are actually useful in OU and gonna rank them in a tier list. Obviously, there are a lot more Pokemon in Champions, so I'm not gonna rank every single one of them. I mean, there's too many Pokemon. I'm just gonna rank all the Pokemon that are in this ranking and a couple of Pokemon that I think are useful in the tier and I have used myself. So let's get started with the top of the list, because these are the best Pokemon and I probably want to say a lot about these things first. So the first thing in the list is Aegislash, and I personally think that Aegislash can be dropped to S minus. I didn't say it in my post here, but I guess I could say I have never found myself putting Aegislash in a lot of my teams, right? It's not as splashable as you'd want a S tier Pokemon to be. Like, it's great, it has bulk, it has offensive prowess, its typing is amazing, but still, its speed being low and being able to rely on Poltergeist now that every Pokemon is kind of just adapting to Poltergeist, it's becoming a little harder to sweep with this thing. And outside of offense teams, I've never really used this thing in balance teams. Because of all that, I feel like I would put this thing in S minus. Where is Aegislash? Aegislash is in Gen 6. It's gonna take a long it's gonna take some time to find some of these Pokemon. I mean, I know where every Pokemon is in generation, but it's still to look at these Pokemon, it's going to para. So I'm gonna put this in S minus, basically because, as I said, I don't find this thing as splashable as everything that is in S tier or would be in S tier is. So yeah. Moving on, there's Garchomp. This Pokemon is single-handedly the best Pokemon in the tier, so I honestly don't even need to say too much about it. It's the best tier. It's an amazing defensive check, stealth rock setter, great typing, one of the best ground type in the tier. Really a good offensive Pokemon. SD scale shot sets are insane. It has coverage like P-Jab, Fire Fang, the coverage it needs. It can be a Scarf user, it has spikes, it can phase Pokemon, it's very versatile in its item. It can run leftovers, can run citrus, can run resistance berries like Haban Berry to check Charizard X, and there's just too much shit it can do, right? So yeah, it's the most used Pokemon in the tier as well, and it's single-handedly the king of Champions OU right now. Moving on, we got Sneasler, and this is the Pokemon I mentioned in my post saying that it should be an S minus. And that's mainly because of the same reason as Aegislash, which is that it's not as splashable. It's actually not as splashable as Aegislash either, because Aegislash's typing actually has some use. Because if you want a spin blocker, you can use Aegislash with Shucka Berry so that Excadrill can't get rid of it, and you can effectively spin block. And steel typing is obviously really nice, which does check things like Mega Floette or something. But for Sneasler, its typing is good, but it's way too frail to actually be able to check something. It's a sweeper, it's a good Scarf user, one of the few Scarf users that actually have Trick or Switcheroo, which is pretty good. I actually love Switcheroo Scarf Sneasler. But still, it's walled by a lot of Pokemon in the tier, like most common defensive checks in the tier, like Corviknight, Toxapex, Garchomp, Slowking. All of them can in some way handle this thing. And it's just not as powerful to be in S tier. Next up, there's Cerulege, and it's an S minus. I would put this thing in S minus too. I just sweeped the guy with Cerulege before, and it was quite funny because they just weren't able to do anything. I had a Shucka Cerulege. I got my SD, surviving an earthquake, healed myself, and it was pretty much just over. So this Pokemon is one of the most threatening physical attackers I have ever seen. you fear whenever you see this Pokemon. You don't want to attack it with physical moves and let it set up and get a speed boost at the same time. It's incredible, right? Obviously, it does suffer from the same things Aegislash does, that is, no item Pokemon and citrus berries and resistance. Like Gossip Berry Skelidurge is something that I used in one of my videos and it was really good. Check to both Aegislash and Cerulege. So like, yeah, these two are kind of in the same boat. And like, it's able to snowball. Aegislash never is able to snowball because it's slow. Cerulege on the other hand can raise its speed and also has priority, which makes it far more threatening. Next up, we got Corviknight. Now this Pokemon was the first thing that I mentioned in my post, saying that this should be in S tier. And like, yeah, I stand on business. This Pokemon is the second best Pokemon in the tier. Very necessary in pretty much any team as a defensive piece, and it's the best and the only reliable defogger in the tier. So you kind of just have to put this thing in every team, especially bulky offense and balance and stall teams. Yeah, you gotta put Corviknight in S tier right beside Garchomp. These two Pokemon are like the pillars of this tier right now. You can't have this tier without these two. Moving on, there's Kingambit. I'm perfectly fine with where Kingambit is. It's Kingambit. Everybody knows what Kingambit does, and that is reverse sweeping everything. And yeah, it pretty much does the same thing that it does in Gen 9 or National Dex, and like, yeah, nothing really changes. Right? Kingambit is Kingambit. Next up is Dragapult. I'm also fine with this thing's placement. A+ is pretty good for Dragapult. Its speed is amazing, its typing is amazing, it's really good offensive Pokemon. Wisp sets are always great. Like, nothing really changed for Dragapult in the tier outside of not having choice specs or choice band, because it always used to run just a Wisp, Hex, U-turn, Darts, or Dracometer set with boots. Now boots don't exist. It runs Ghost Resist Berry, Dragon Resist Berry, Fairy Resist Berry, whatever it wants, and it works. It just works perfectly for this Pokemon. So yeah, Dragapult is A+ for sure. Next up, Floette Mega. I agree with its placement of A+. Floette Mega is very threatening. Like, even if I have Slowking or Pax, I actually always fear this thing because you never know when it actually just snowballs. Calm Mind, Light of Ruin can just go insane. It just one-shots resistances. Like Cerulege, Aegislash, you can one-shot those guys with a +1 Mega Floette's Light of Ruin. It's that powerful. Like, it's actually insane how powerful this thing is. Even resistances don't handle it. You need Pokemon that resist Fairy, and they need to be hella bulky on the special side, like Pex or Slowking Galar. Otherwise, this thing's just gonna roll through it, and it has the speed to do it too. It's not a slower Pokemon, it's very fast, the same speed as Garchomp, which is incredible. Okay, moving on, Megalop. Again, I agree with Megalop's placement. It's a threatening sweeper and like just a speed control mon that can check Kingambit, and is also a kind of a soft check to ghost type attackers, which is great for any Pokemon. Like, there are a lot of ghost type Pokemon, and being immune to Poltergeist and Shadow Sneak from Aegislash and Cerulege helps. And on top of that, it can actually revenge kill them too because of its ability Scrappy. Normal fighting with Scrappy basically means that its stab typing have no resistances, because normal is resisted by steel and rock, and fighting is super effective against those, and normal is immune to ghost, but Scrappy allows you to hit ghost types with fighting and normal moves. So like, yeah, even something like Aegislash can't resist this thing's move. There are basically no resistances for Lopunny. And now that it gets Swords Dance and Mach Punch, it actually becomes a sweeper. In the past, it was always a speed control Pokemon, right? Speed control revenge killer, but now it's an actual threat, which is insane. Next is Samurott Hisui, and this is the most surprising placement that I think is in this list. I said that in my post as well. This Pokemon, in my opinion, should easily just be dragged up to S tier. This thing is simply an S tier Pokemon. And you could probably read all of this if you do look up this thread. I explained it perfectly here. Like, its typing is amazing, as Water Dark is a great typing. It has a broken move and Ceaseless Edge. It is an amazing Scarfer and can become a really good partner for a lot of offensive Pokemon in the tier. A lot of Pokemon appreciate its resistances, and it has good synergy because it can force defensive checks out like Corviknight or Primarina and bring out things like Mega Meganium or Delphox that can take advantage of those Pokemon being on the field. And on top of it, its Swords Dance Black Glasses sets with like SD, Ceaseless, Sucker, or Anko Razor Shell, whatever you want to run, are incredible. They are very threatening because you can two-shot Corviknight and not die to a single body press, and while you're getting Spike Up, and even if they go into a Fairy or Fighting type, you're still getting Spike Up, you're still getting a lot of damage, and Encore obviously cripples anything that tries to click a status move, which can be very problematic because then after that you're actually getting a free turn to set spikes up, which is amazing. So SD sets are broken, and it's one of the best Scarf users in the tier. So yeah, you just gotta put this thing in S tier. Next up is Clefable. Now I didn't say anything about Clefable in my post, but I honestly can drag this down to A-. Like, it's good. I really like Unaware Clefable in the tier right now, but I don't think it's A, right? Like, because it's still hard. It's not, because of power creep, it's not as bulky as you'd want it to be, right? Some Pokemon just go past it despite the fact that it's a defensive check. And yes, it can check Garchomp, it can check Dragonite if you're running Unaware, but still, it's with Unaware, you're vulnerable to status moves, you're vulnerable to hazards, and Magic Guard isn't as useful in the tier right now. I think everyone is just relying on Unaware because, like things like SD Sneasler KOs Clefable with Dire Claw, but like SD Samurott, SD Aegislash, SD Ceruledge, SD Lap, DD Dragonite, SD Garchomp. Like, physical attackers are insane right now, so you kind of just need that Unaware to actually deal with these Pokemon. So yeah, Clefable, it should be right here in Gen 1, and yeah, I'll just put this in A-. It can be an A or it can be an A-. I don't really have like a super biased opinion. I'll just go with A- here for now. Glimmora is fine where it is. There's not much to say about Glimmora. It basically has one thing that it does in the tier, and that's being a lead or being basically a T-Spike absorber and a hazard thing, so that you don't have to separate these things. Like, it can all the hazard control in one. It's a spinner, it's a stealth rock setter, it's a spike setter, it's a T-Spike setter, it's a T-Spike absorber, so it can just do everything. A tier is fine for Glimmora. Next is Mega Glimmora, and I would say Mega Glimmora is fine to be in A as well. I did say in my video that Mega Glimmora was a little disappointing, but since then I've used it more and I've realized that that specific session was just like a bad session for Glimmora. Overall, it's a great Pokemon. Its speed is really high, it is really powerful with its Power Gem Sludge Waves, and yes, Garchomp does wall it, but Garchomp doesn't have reliable recovery, which ends up being problematic when you're regularly taking Sludge Waves and Power Gems and Earth Powers, right? Mega Glimmora is really good when you pair it with Volt Turn Pokemon like Rotom Wash, Rotom Heat, like any Samurott, Meowscarada, whatever, and just be able to bring this thing out, throw some damage at your opponent, and just switch out. Moving on, we got Mega Meganium. Now, one of my favorite Megas in ZA, or like overall, one of my favorite Megas overall. Like, I just love the fact that Mega Meganium is so goated now, right? It's just so goated. I just absolutely love it. And it's in A. I would biasly put it in A+, not gonna lie, because I really like this Pokemon. But yeah, A or A+, it doesn't matter. It's just an offensive demon with insane coverage, insane ability. Having 150 power fire type move every time without any drawback is insane. It even two-shot resistances like Skeletors without Spadaf investment actually gets two-shot by Meganium's Weather Ball. Same with Toxapex. Toxapex actually gets two-shot. A max HP, max def Toxapex can get two-shot by Solar Beam without any hazard damage. The max roll is 52%. So like, if you get two higher rolls, Toxapex would die and you won't be able to do anything. The only Pokemon actually checking this thing's moves is Slowking Galar. And because of that, it's actually not like S tier or like even broken. If Slowking Galar didn't exist, this thing would probably be banned because there were no answers. Like Rotom Heat, sure, but Rotom Heat isn't that good. It's hard to fit Rotom Heat on teams because you need answers to other special attackers in the tier as well, and Rotom Heat isn't able to do all of that. So like yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard without Slowking Gala. This thing is just insane. It's also pretty bulky, so it's not like a sitting duck that just gets chipped down. It's bulky, and top of that has 66% healing, so like it doesn't die. It actually doesn't die. Moving on. Meowscarada. I'm fine with Meowscarada. I've seen people kind of say that Meowscarada is kind of bad. I disagree. I think Meowscarada is actually incredible as a Scarfer. Yes, its typing sucks and it has a 4 move slot syndrome, but it actually doesn't need those things. Meowscarada's role is just being a fast revenge killer. It's like one of the fastest Scarfers. It can pretty much revenge kill anything if they're in range. And on top of it, it's a great partner for Pokemon like Mega Delphox, Mega Chandelure, Mega Charizard Y, anything that can deal with steel types, because Meowscarada forces in steel types. Meowscarada always forces in a Corviknight. And if you can U-turn out, or even if you don't U-turn, you just double out into a fire type, expecting Corviknight on a Corviknight turn, then they're just gonna be in a bad situation because now you have advantage. And that's what basically Meowscarada does. It's a great partner for fire types, as I said, because it also make sure that water types aren't coming out, right? Obviously, for example, a Primarina wouldn't want to come out on a Meowscarada, right? Unless you really try to read a U-turn or knockoff, because they don't want to eat a Flower Brick. And that's what its role is. Fast revenge killer that has good synergy with offensive Pokemon in the tier, good offensive Pokemon in the tier. Slowking Galar. I actually planned on saying something about Slowking Galar in this post, but I kind of refrained from it. But here I'm gonna say that it should be in A+. It's in A, right? Yeah, it's in A. It should be in A+. Like, it's the best specially defensive tank, as I said, like one of the few Pokemon that can actually tank Megapaganium and still tank a lot of the other special attackers in the tier as well. Chilly Reception is a broken move. It's very versatile with its move pool and also its item slot. You can run Ghost Resist Berry, you can run Citrus Berry, you can run No Item, you can run Colbur Berry, and still work with all of it, which is great, which is like really good. You can run Shaka Berry Ice Beam sets for Garchomp and stuff. So like yeah, it's just very versatile and really like very needed as a specially defensive tank as well. Without Slowking, this tier would have been a shambles. Slowking is actually a really good glue that's keeping some of these Pokemon in the tier. Otherwise, most of these special attackers would probably be banned if Slowking didn't exist. Okay, moving on, Mega Alakazam. Now, yeah, this thing I also planned on saying about Mega Alakazam, but I didn't want to make the post too long, so I kind of cut that part out. But Mega Alakazam, I don't think it should be A-. I personally think it's probably a B+ Mega. I'm yet to use it, like successfully use this Pokemon. I have tried using it. I have built a couple of teams and used it here and there. But like my problem with Mega Alakazam is that it's just not able to make progress. Like it looks good on paper. It has the speed and special attack, but the fact that Psychic is resisted by things like Corviknight and Aegislash, and you have to rely on hitting Focus Blast on any dark type, it just sucks, right? It just sucks, and there's no psychic terrain in the tier right now to save it from priority, so like it's very vulnerable to Sucker Punches and Shadow Sneaks, or any priority after some chip, Extreme Speed, Aquajet, you name it. And then like you have to run substitute sets to actually be able to Nasty Plot, because it's frail enough to just not be able to Nasty Plot freely. Like its typing is just bad, and you have to hit Focus Blast. Like Corviknight is everywhere in the tier, Garchomp is everywhere in the tier, Slowking Galar is everywhere in the tier. None of these Pokemon actually die in a single hit. Garchomp KOs Alakazam, Corviknight U-turns out on it, and Slowking Galar T-waves it. So like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? What are you going to do? It's probably better to run Psyshock on this thing, I would say. But then again, because it only has one stab, if you run Psyshock, you're kind of struggling against things like Garchomp, because you're not going to deal enough damage to Fizz Daf Garchomp, which also sucks. Like there are a lot of problems with Alakazam in practice. On paper, it looks like this, it's incredible because it has high speed, base 175 special attack, and nasty blood. But in practice, it's not as good. Next up is Mega Charizard X, and I said this in my post. Mega Charizard X should be pushed up to either A or A+, whereas Charizard, oh, starter of course. What am I doing? Yeah, Charizard should be pushed to A or A+. I would put it in A because it eventually does die due to its own Flare Blitz recoil and stuff, and like it eventually does end up getting revenge kill, but it's still really good. Like it ends up getting 1 or 2 KOs or deals a ton of damage, which ends up being very helpful for your team. And it basically doesn't have any answers because it can like deal a ton of damage to anything, and Toxapex and stuff hate facing Earthquake, and Primarina and Azumarill, despite resisting the stabs, just take too much from like a +1 EQ or even +1 Flare Blitz. So like basically it doesn't really have any answers, right? I think most people right now are trying to check it using Habanberry Garchomp, which is a good strat. It's working, but it's still forcing the Garchomps to actually change their regular strat and remove items like Citrus Berry, which sucks, right? Yeah, it's Charizard X is just very oppressive. Moving on, Excadrill. It's fine where it is. It definitely, Excadrill isn't the best Pokemon. It's just like Glimmora, it's kind of only used in offense teams here because balance teams don't really have a place for this thing. It's too frail for balance teams, and you need more reliable checks and a thing like Corviknight, and a defogger like Corviknight. So like for balance and bulky offense teams, Corviknight is always there. You kind of don't need Excadrill anymore. Like it doesn't fit. But on offense and hyper offense teams, you can use it. It's good. Like yeah, A is fine for Excadrill. It's a stealth rock setter, it's a spinner, it's a fairy type check, it's fast, it can handle Rotoms and stuff with Earthquake, Mold Breaker, Earthquake, and yeah, it's versatile with its item. Can run Shaka, can run Oka, can run Citrus, can run Leftovers, can also be Scarf, though it's not that great. Greninja and Mega Greninja. Now first of all, Greninja is kinda bad. First of all, it doesn't have Battle Bond anymore, right? So you can't actually use it as a sweeper or like in hyper offense teams. You have to basically run a Scarf set because there's not really any other set regular Greninja can pull off. It didn't get Nasty Blood. It didn't retain Nasty Blood from Legends EA, at least not yet. So like it's just not great, right? And for a Scarfer, Meowscarada and Samurott are way better dark type Scarfers. So you kind of end up just not wanting Greninja ever. Like it's fast, sure, but you don't really need that speed. You need more offense, and Greninja is not that offensive. It's kind of weak. So that's why I'm gonna put this in B+. And for Mega Greninja, I would also put this in B+, to be honest. I did have a talk with someone who made a Mega Greninja team, and they said it's pretty good. I also played a couple of games with that team, but like my opinion obviously hasn't changed because it's not gonna change in 3 games. But with Mega Greninja, it's a little bit more powerful, a little bit more faster, but it's still the same thing. It doesn't have any way to set up. It's kind of weak despite being a Mega Evolution. It's kind of weak. And it only really has like one strat where you just run its stab moves, U-turn, Ice Beam, or maybe like Gunk Shot, Low Kick. It has a 4 move slot syndrome. Yeah, so it needs a lot of moves to actually check everything or deal with everything, and you can't run Low Kick, U-turn, Gunk Shot, Rock Slide, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, Surf, Water Shuriken, Hydro Pump. You just can't run every one of them. That's why I think it belongs in B+. That could change in the future. When I use more of this Pokemon, I will make a video with this Pokemon too, but for now I'll keep it in B+. Next up is Primarina. It can stay where it is. Primarina is great. It's a good fairy type, good water type, bulky Pokemon. I love substitute Calm Mind sets. It has Encore, it has Flip Turn. I also used like Rest Chesto sets, which were pretty cool. I used especially defensive Primarinas, which was pretty cool. And its rule is pretty simple. If you need a water or fairy type, you go with Primarina. You put sub Calm Mind set on it, and if the matchup is right, it's gonna sweep, and if the matchup isn't right, it's not gonna do much. especially against sticky web teams that run Araquanid. Primarina easily gets a sub and Calm Mind because Araquanid isn't able to break its sub or do anything to it. But if the opponent has a Slowking or a Toxapex, then you're just not gonna be able to sweep, so like it kind of becomes useless. Next up is B rank, B plus. We got Araquanid. It can stay where it is. It's just a sticky web setter. There's not much to do. Like, it's kind of an annoying Pokemon if you are not actively checking it, because like it's powerful and its moves kind of end up being annoying. Lunge, Liquidation, Leech Life, Mirror Coat, Endeavor, and all that. But still, it's just a sticky web setter, so can't be too high. Archaladon is also fine where it is. It's mainly only used in rain, but inside rain, it's a demon, right? Electroshot, Dracometeor, Flash Cannon, Aura Sphere is like the perfect coverage. It doesn't really need anything else. And then with Shucca Berries, you are able to bait Garchomp in, survive the move, retaliate with Dracometeor, KO them. And then the defense phrases from Stamina also end up being pretty annoying. They can snowball. If someone clicks like Scale Shot, an unboosted Scale Shot from Garchomp can be very problematic because it's gonna give a ton of boosts to Archaladon. So like, yeah, it can snowball in rain, and it's just a very annoying Pokemon to deal with because Electroshot boosts, like a lot of specially defensive Pokemon can't really do anything to this thing, like Toxapex and Slowking. So like, if you go those Pokemon on this thing, it's just gonna click Electroshot and you're not gonna be able to do anything. Next up is Mega Clefable and Mega Delphox. For Clefable, I think it's fine where it is. Mega Clefable, in my last video, I said I personally wouldn't use Mega Clefable again, and I stand on that. Like, I honestly wouldn't use it. I don't think it's that good. Like, it's cool, it was Garchomp. Yeah, sure, but using this means you're kind of giving up your Mega Slot, which kind of ends up sucking. You only can use this thing when you're actually actively trying to build around this thing, and even then, being walled by Pex and Slowking Galar doesn't really help. And yeah, it's basically whatever Clefable does, but with a flying type, which can be useful against Garchomp, but can also be really bad because if an Excadrill comes out, your Clefable is pretty useless, and that thing's gonna get Stealth Rock up, and you're gonna lose 25% after you Mega Evolve, which sucks. So like, yeah, I prefer Unaware Clefable over Mega Clefable any day, and yeah, that's basically my opinion. Okay, Mega Delphox. It's ranked in B+, which is one of the biggest blunder for this tier list. This thing, Mega Delphox, is one of the most unwallable Pokemon in the tier right now. This thing does not have answers. There are zero answers for this thing. If you want to go Slowking Galar, you get 2-shot by Psyshock. If you want to go into dark types like Samurott, you get hit by Dazzling Gleam. If you want to go King Gambit, it has Substitute and Encore. And like, yeah, sets like I just today used Fire Blast, Psyshock, Dazzling Gleam, Substitute, and in that game Delphox just was like clicking moves. It didn't really do anything else. It came in, clicked Psyshock on Rotom Heat, and then switched out. Came in, clicked Substitute, Dazzling Gleam to Samurott, switched out, and then came in, clicked Fire Blast, knocked the Corviknight out, switched out. That's basically what Delphox does. And on top of that, it also has Nasty Plot. So like, if you get an opportunity to Nasty Plot, it's just gonna be insanely hard to survive any of its moves. You can only Revenge Kill it with Priority or like Scarf Users. But that does mean that you have to bring those Pokemon out. And doing that can only be possible if you sack a Mon or you do some plays with its typing, right? Like going Dark type on a Psychic move, and it can be like either read or just click Substitute to scout, and your plan is kind of in shambles now. It's really hard to navigate through Mega Delphox in the tier right now. And if it doesn't change, like with time, I feel like this might get banned. It's kind of borderline right now, but I don't know. I can see it happening if nothing changes in the tier. If there are no new Pokemon additions soon, I feel like if this tier just went along, had more activity, had a better player base, this thing would probably be banned. Next up is Dragonite. Okay, Dragonite can stay in B+. It kind of has, right now it kind of has a move slot syndrome where with DD it kind of needs Iron Hand, it needs Outrage, it needs Fire Punch, it needs Earthquake, it needs Extreme Speed, It sometimes needs Ice Spinner, so like there's a lot of moves that it can run, and it can be annoying to decide which one it wants to run. And then obviously boots don't exist, so stealth rocks are a problem for this thing. It's still pretty good, but it's not usable on defensive teams, and you kind of have to just only use it in high offense and hyper offense, which tanks its viability, obviously. Next up is Gyarados, and this this is just funny. This is just funny. Gyarados does not belong in B plus. It doesn't even belong in OU tier. It's not a good Pokemon. And I said that in my post as well, saying that it shouldn't even be ranked. But yeah, if I were to rank this thing, I would drop this directly in C. There's just nothing to do. It doesn't do anything. It can be a DD sweeper, but it's not great. Things like Corviknight and Garchomp Wallet or phase it out. It doesn't specifically KO a Pokemon, and bulky sets are just useless. That's just a dream that somebody made up, and it died quickly. It died quickly. Bulky, T-Wave, Restock, Roar, whatever sets are just bad. They're not good. Next up is Rotom Wash. This thing can be A minus, I would say. Like there's not much to add to Rotom. It does the same thing it always did, being annoying defensive, soft defensive Chang that can tank hits. With Citrus Berry, it can be a good Poltergeist user answers like Aegislash and Savage. It can wall them with no item or Citrus Berry, which is pretty cool. It can burn those Pokemon. It's the only good electric type in the tier, only user of Volt Switch, which does make it pretty good. Like, yeah, because there are not a lot of good ground types in the tier. So like when Rotom actually comes out, it's kind of annoying because you have to let things like Garchomp burn, otherwise it's just gonna Volt Switch out and keep annoying you. So like it kind of sucks to face Rotom, but because of power creep, it's not able to handle moves for long term. Like it gets chipped down. So like yeah, that's why it's an A minus. Next up is Scizor Mega. It can stay in B plus. Scizor is Scizor. It's a good psychic type checks, though there are not like specific psychic types. Like it can check Alakazam, which is pretty cool, and it can snowball if you let it set up too much. It got Roost back, which is pretty cool. It can potentially work as a defogger, though it's hard right now. It's just hard to really do that with spikes and all that as well. But like yeah, it's cool. It's a good SD bullet punch kind of revenge killer or sweeper, you could say. Skarmory. I don't think Skarmory should be ranked in B plus, to be honest. I would drop this down to B. Skarmory isn't good because Corviknight exists, and also because like it doesn't have U-turn, it doesn't have defog, and like the only purpose it has over Corviknight is if you want to use spikes, which is cool, but that does mean that you kind of have to give up on your defogger, because or even a spinner, because you probably don't run Excadrill with this thing. It's just gonna take a slot on the team for no reason. So like with Skarmory, you just kind of have to rely on the fact that like you're just stacking hazards on opponent's side, and you don't really care about what happens on your side. Moving on, we got Toxapex and Volcarona. I would drag Toxapex up a tier to A minus. I think it's a better Pokemon than B plus. Basically, it's a good tank. It handles things like Aegislash. It handles things like Sneasler, which is pretty cool. It also handles Cerulege and Aegislash with either Citrus Berry or no item, which is amazing. And it has T-Spike. It has one of the few Pokemon that has Toxic, which is pretty cool. It's a Float answer. Like yeah, it's just bulky Pokemon. When you need a poison type, you need a water type, this Pokemon is there. You can use it. It's just good. Not on the level of Slowking, because it still gets two-shot by Meganium. Still struggles to handle Delphox, but it's still a good Pokemon overall. You can definitely use it. Next up is Volcarona. This thing can stay in B plus. The thing with Volcarona is that even though, like, first of all, obviously boots don't exist anymore, at least not yet in the tier, so that definitely tanks its viability. But even though it's kind of powerful, there are a lot of Pokemon that kind of just end up surviving its move even after setup, or even if you're running modest, whether it's a bulky Chomp or a Toxapex or I don't know, Slowking Galar. All of these Pokemon survive. Cerulege survives the Psychic and kind of just end up revenge killing it. So like it always ends up just being a Pokemon that sets up lowers a bulky Pokemon and kind of just dies. You know what I mean? It never really actually sweeps. At least not bulky offense teams. Like it can sweep hyper offense teams, but hyper offense teams aren't that common because the top Pokemon in the tier are Garchomp, Corviknight, and Slowking, and all of these Pokemon work best on bulky offense and balance teams. So like yeah, it's just the meta is kind of just bad for Volcarona, you could say, and it also doesn't have hidden power ground, so like it basically isn't really able to handle fire types, right? And on top of that, it also needs moves like Giga Drain to handle Primarina, it needs Bug Buzz to handle dark types, and then it also needs a Psychic for Toxapex and stuff, for Cerulege. A move slot syndrome, basically, 4 move slot syndrome, basically, right? It needs the coverage, it can't use everything in one move set, so depending on what it's using, its checks differ. But at the end of the day, I feel like every bulky Pokemon kind of just ends up surviving its moves and just ends up retaliating or phasing it out or revenge killing it or whatever. Next up, we got B tier, Alakazam, and Bellibolt. I don't really have much to add for both of these Pokemon. I'll keep Alakazam in B. Its only use is that it can run Sash with Magic Guard and do some shenanigans. Otherwise, you probably really don't want to use Alakazam. Does it get Trick? I'm not sure. Maybe it can be a good Trick Scarfer, but like a Psychic type Scarfer isn't actually great in the tier, and it also doesn't have things like U-turn, which make up for a good Scarfer. The only time I've seen this being used is with Sash, and that's not a lot. Like you can't easily put this on teams, right? You kind of have to specifically build a team that can appreciate Alakazam. Otherwise, it's not going to be useful. And the next one was Bellibolt. Now I'm not sure why this Pokemon is up in B tier, but I don't really care. Bellibolt, theoretically it can soak ground types like Garchomp, it can poison them. Yes, it does still get toxic, which is pretty cool. And it has static and overall, but at the end of the day, nobody's really scared of Bellibolt, right? If they see a Bellibolt in front of themselves, they're just kind of gonna ignore it, right? It's not that threatening. It's just not. It has to soak ground types, it has to poison them. It's not as powerful, and yes, it has reliable recovery, but its electric typing is kind of meh. It doesn't really have coverage, only has muddy water and electric moves, so just not much to do with this thing. I'll keep it in B because I don't really care. Dragonite Mega. This is a Pokemon that I feel like would go up in the future, but for now, since it doesn't have as much usage, I've only really seen it being used in rain. I've also used it in rain, which is it does pretty well in rain, but still it doesn't have much usage right now, so I'll keep it in B, but I can see it being maybe useful later when the meta adapts. It can be B plus or maybe even A minus, depending on how the tier ends up being or how the meta changes. Then there's Espathra, Frostless Mega. These Pokemon I also don't really have much to add on. Espathra's only purpose is being a stored power sweeper, or it can be a Luminic Rush, Trick, Scarf, whatever, but same as Alakazam, right? Psychic type Scarfers aren't that great. And so other than that, its only purpose is being stored power Dazzling Gleam, and that kind of gets walled by steel types. And it's weak to priority, so Shadow Sneak and stuff, it gets walled by Aegislash, so not much to do. You can run it in hyper offense teams, that's about it. It doesn't really have a place anywhere else. Frostless Mega. This is another Pokemon that I feel like would probably go higher in the future, but right now I'll put it in B. It has Blizzard, Shadow Ball, Wisp, Nasty Plot, Aurora Veil. That's about its move pool. You can run a Thunderbolt maybe, but it's not that useful. So it gets walled by Kingambit, which kind of sucks. And despite having 100% accurate Blizzards, it's not as powerful. And I haven't really seen any Nasty Plot Frostlass is either. Everyone's just running Veil Wisp, which I feel like is probably a better set. Hatterene Hydrapple. Hatterene is actually a Pokemon that I did mention in my post, and I said that it should probably be a little bit higher. It's in B right now. What did I say in my post? Oh, it is in B. Okay, let me change that actually. I just realized. I meant to push it up point higher, but I said it's in B, which it is in not. It's actually in B, so I'll push it in B plus. There you go. Yeah. Hatterene is a good Pokemon because hazard control is very valuable in the tier, right? So like anything that can handle hazards is very much appreciated, and because of that, I think Hatterene can be in B. It doesn't have a lot of usage right now, but it will probably increase. Like just like it increased in Gen 9 OU, it took a long time for people to actually start using Hatterene. There was once a time where like Hatterene was everywhere in the tier. So like yeah, Hatterene is definitely a good Pokemon. Next up is Hydrapple and Medicham Mega. So for Hydrapple, I'm not sure why this thing is ranked. I honestly don't know, but I haven't used it, so I'm not gonna diss it too much. Maybe it has use. Like it can probably wall Samurott and stuff, but like Samurott gets spikes up, so Samurott is still getting value. And then it doesn't really have much use, right, as a physically defensive tank. There are not Pokemon in the tier that you would want to wall with this thing. There are just aren't. So like you don't really have a purpose to run Hydrapple, because in Gen 9 OU you run it because it's capable of handling Ogerpon, which is great. But here, like, what do you want to check? There's nothing. There's nothing for this guy to check. Next up was Mega Medicham, and this Pokemon is in B. I can probably push it in B plus. Like Mega Medicham is powerful, right? If it gets chances to attack, if it clicks the correct moves, then it's gonna snowball kinda. But like yeah, there are Pokemon that end up tanking its moves, and it always has to run fire move because Aegis Slash exists. But other than that, it's cool. It's cool. Mega Medicham is like a really powerful Pokemon. That's pretty much all there is to it. Pelipper, Rotom Heat, and Scizor. For Pelipper, it can stay in B+. Its only purpose is Rain, which is cool. Rain teams are kind of nice. Overall, Rain teams are definitely fun. So like yeah, it can stay in B. For Rotom Heat, I'd say it can also stay in B, but like its Rotom Heat has a purpose. It is actually able to check Mega Meganium and Charizard Y. And to some extent Delphox, though Psyshock Delphox two-shots it. But still, it's just kind of hard to fit Rotom Heat on teams. There's obviously the 25% weakness to Stealth Rock, but but other than that, like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's hard to fit this thing on a team as a specially defensive answer, basically. You know what? Because there are a lot more specially attacking Pokemon that you actively have to check, right? Like, for example, a Rotom Wash. Rotom Heat's not even a Rotom Wash answer, and it's kind of hard to find Rotom Wash answers in the tier, right? So if you want to run a especially defensive tank like Slowking, it's going to be your Rotom answer. But if you run Rotom Heat over that, I don't know what your Rotom answer is. So like yeah, because of that, I don't know. It's kind of hard to fit it on teams. Scizor can stay here as well. It's kind of similar to Mega Scizor, but just less powerful, less bulky. Yeah, basically it can run Citrus, and it can run like Careful Sets, it can run SD Bug Bite, whatever. But that's about it. Mega Aerodactyl B-. I haven't used this Pokemon. I'm kinda surprised to see it ranked, but still, since I haven't used it, I'm not gonna say too much about it. It's really fast. It probably has Dragon Dance, so like maybe Dragon Dance, Ice Fang, Dual Wing Beat, Stone Edge sets might work, maybe, or like Fire Fang. You probably need Fire Fang to deal with Corviknight, or do you? I'm not sure. Stone Edge probably does more, right? Yeah, Stone Edge actually does do more. But yeah, it's Aerodactyl. It's Aerodactyl, right? It has to rely on Stone Edge too, which kind of sucks. Mega Charizard Y. Now, this is a Pokemon that is ranked very incorrectly. This Pokemon is bonkers. It's actually bonkers. Has very few answers in the tier, and it does have a 4 move slot syndrome, but still it kind of goes both ways, because if you have the right move, you will be able to handle a check. And if Tyranitar comes out, you have Focus Blast, you can check that. If Charizard X or Skeledirge comes out, you have Scorching Sands, you can check that. And if Dragonite comes out, you have Dragon Pulse, you can check that. So like yeah, It's kind of pretty annoying. I'd put it in B plus. It's in B minus. I put it in B plus because of its 50% weakness to Stealth Rock and the reliance on having the correct move is why it's probably not A tier, but B plus is fair for it. Ditto, Mega Gallade, Mega Gyarados. I'm not gonna say anything about these Pokemon. These Pokemon can stay where they are. Ditto's only purpose is being a Scarfer, which is cool. Being a anti-sweep Scarfer, I should say, basically. That's basically what it does. Mega Gallade, Mega Gyarados. I haven't used these two Pokemon. I mean, they probably can do something, but that something isn't enough for them to be ranked higher than B minus. Where is Gyarados? There it is. Gyarados and Gallade is in Gen 4, which is right here. So Gallade, yeah. Gallade, there you go. Moving on, we got Hydreigon. Now this Pokemon is something I would rank a little bit higher. Hydreigon Gen 5, Gen 5, Gen 5, Gen 5. There we go. There we go. Yeah, so Hydreigon, it's ranked in B minus. I would rank this in actually B plus. I think it's a really good Scarf user. I personally find it better than Greninja, right? So I gotta put it in the same tier as Greninja, even though I find it better than that. Like it is kind of, you know, like Fairy type's wallet, which kind of does suck. So yeah, like that's why I can't put it higher, but it's definitely B plus. It's a good Scarfer. When you need a Rock type Scarfer, you don't want to use Samurott or Meowscarada, you can definitely use this thing. Levitate is always a good ability. It's really powerful as well. Has a really powerful move in Draco Meteor as well. Has U-turn. Has Flamethrower coverage, which can be very helpful. So like yeah, it's definitely a great Pokemon. Mega Kangaskhan, same thing. I haven't used this Pokemon, so I'm not gonna say anything about it. Let's just put it in B minus and move on. Crocodile, Koikowal. I don't think Crocodile is good. It's ranked in B minus, probably because of its dark typing and Stealth Rock, and it's like, since there are not a lot of good ground types, it's one of the few, like one of the better than worse ground types, I guess you could say. So like yeah, that's why it's in B minus, which is okay. Koikowal. Now despite Koikowal being like, you would feel like Koikowal is pretty good because it checks King Gambit, it's a good spinner, it has Roost, and like it checks Samurott. Like there are a lot of things Koikowal can do, at least on paper. But in reality, it basically suffers with a 4-move slot syndrome, where it needs Rapid Spin, it needs Roost, it needs Aqua Step, it needs Close Combat, it needs Triple Axle, it needs Knockoff. There's just too much shit that it needs, and it can't run everything. It needs SD, it needs Taunt, it needs Encore, right? So like yeah, you just can't run everything. I tried using a FizzDef Roost Rapid Spin set, but I was just at a loss to what to use. Well, do I use Close Combat Aqua Step, or do I use Aqua Step Knockoff? What do I use? Like it was just hard to decide, which is kind of the problem with Koikowal. And there are also Pokemon like Toxapex and Primarina, which kind of completely wall it. So like yeah, you are not actually really sweeping with this thing. Next up is Slowbro and Tinkaton. Slowbro doesn't really have usage in the tier, but I can see that it may get some in the future. Because like yeah, it's definitely physically bulky, and with more Pokemon, with like now everyone trying to adapt to Poltergeist, you can easily run Gossip Berry Slowbro or like no item Slowbro, and it would probably work, right? It's very physically bulky. It can handle Garchomp and Dragonite and retaliate with Ice Beam. It can run Colbur Body Press. It unfortunately doesn't get Teleport anymore, which does tank its survivability, but still it can be a good FizzDef answer, I guess. But it doesn't have usage right now, so I won't put it too high, and I haven't used it personally myself because it's just hard to not use the Pokemon that are higher up, because you kind of need those Pokemon. So like, where do I put this thing, right? Where do I put this thing? Tinkaton. Never used this. I don't think it, honestly, I don't see Tinkaton having any use in the tier. It just doesn't. There's no reason to run Tinkaton. Yeah, I don't know. For a Steel type, for a Fairy type, it just doesn't do the job of either, right? It's not gonna do the job of either Pokemon, either type. at least in this tier. So yeah, I don't know. Just never use Tinkerton. You just never use Tinkerton. It's ranked in B minus because of its utility, and I'll keep it there. But it can probably drop to C as well because it really doesn't have any viability. Chestnut, Mega Chestnut. Unfortunately, despite being very bulky, they struggle with like just their typing overall, I guess you could say. uh yeah, there's too many ghost types that kind of just wall this thing, and you can't really do anything about it. Then there's Mega Meganium that can Dazzling Gleam. There's Slowking Galar. Like, yeah, everything just kind of ends up walling this, right? So there's not much to do. And with Corviknight always being able to remove the spikes, you kind of end up not getting as much value as you'd want to. Chimecho. Now this Pokemon, I said it in my post. I don't know why this is ranked. I would actually unrank it. But if someone has actually used this Pokemon successfully in this tier, then you can tell me because I would love to use that team and like record a video with it or whatever. Because I tried to, I failed miserably. It was completely useless. It has basically no utility, no purpose for it to be used in the tier. It's typing and levitate. You just don't need it. There's Corviknight. Corviknight can do can do the job of being a flying steel type. And with setup, there's King Gambit. It doesn't have a fighting type move, so like King Gambit always kind of annoys it. It doesn't have Iron Defense, which really sucks. And to use Cosmic Power sets, you actually either have to drop Moonlight or drop Draining Kiss, which would suck because you need Cosmic Power, Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, a stored power. So like dropping Moonlight would mean you are kind of gonna get chipped. You are kind of gonna get chipped because even with setup, Draining Kiss doesn't give you too much back from King Gambit. So like yeah, I don't know. It's just hard to use this Pokemon in my opinion. Mega Excadrill, Mega Floette, not Mega Floette, Floette Eternal. Mega Excadrill, where are you? Gen 5, right? Yeah, here. Mega Excadrill and Floette. It should be in here somewhere. There you go, Floette Eternal. So like this thing has no use. I would actually put this in D. I honestly don't think Floette Eternal has any use as a fairy tricker. Like, yeah, maybe it can trick Slowking Galar or Toxapex, but when do you need to use a fairy type Scarfer? Tell me that. Do you need to use a fairy type Scarfer in any of the teams? Because I can't think of any opportunity or any need to use one. So like, I don't know. For Excadrill, I've used it. It gets walled by Corviknight. If Corviknight didn't exist, this Pokemon would be really good. But Corviknight does exist, so it ends up being put in C tier. That's basically it for Mega Excadrill. Next up is Garchomp, Gudra, Hisui, Hippowdon. No, not Garchomp. Oh, Garchomp Mega, right. The Gudra, Hisui. Let's put that up there in C tier. And Garchomp Mega, and Hippowdon. These two Pokemon I would actually rank higher. Hippowdon would go to B minus because it does have some viability as a defensive answer. Stealth Rock, Whirlwind, Slack Off, Stone Edge. Like, yeah, it's really bulky, which really helps. Like, it's way too bulky on the physical side. And for Mega Garchomp, I would say it can be put in B because the thing with Mega Garchomp is that you wouldn't specifically build a team or use Mega Garchomp. What you would do is just put the Mega Stone on a regular SD Garchomp, and when the opportunity arises or when you can Mega Evolve, you can do it and get that extra damage output, which would be very helpful because it has a base 170 physical attack, right? Otherwise, you can just run a regular Garchomp and just be fine with the Mega Stone. It wouldn't really change anything. So that's why Mega Garchomp can stay in B because it's not totally useless, right? You can just casually run a Mega Stone SD Garchomp SD Scale Shot to EQ Fire Fang, and when you need it or when you want to Mega Evolve, don't Mega Evolve it entire game, it wouldn't really matter. The only problem would be that it does hog a Mega slot, so you lose the opportunity to use a different powerful Mega. But that depends on the team, right? If you're building a team that doesn't really necessarily need a Mega, you could go with Mega Garchomp. Oh yeah, Gudra, Hisui, and Hippowdon. In case of Gudra, Hisui, I'll keep it in C. There's not much usage. I haven't used it myself as well, and like it's kind of in the same boat as like Rotom Heat. It's hard to fit, and there's things like Meganium and Delphox end up chipping it down eventually. It doesn't have reliable recovery. Ninetales Alola, Skarmory, Mega, Skellydirge. Ninetales Alolan is around here, Gen 7. Oh wait, Ninetales is Gen 1. Yeah, forms are along with the Pokemon, of course. Yeah, Ninetales is Gen 1. Right, yeah, Ninetales C, its only purpose is getting Veil, and without Light Clay, it's not good. Then the next step was Skarmory and Skellydirge. Skarmory right here, still same. Because Corviknight exists, it's in the same boat as Excadrill. It can't do anything to Corviknight. If Corviknight didn't exist or Skarmory didn't exist, this thing would have been broken. But since it does, it's not great. It ends up being in C. And for Skellydirge is actually pretty good. I would drag it up to B tier because, as I said before, I used Cassiterberry Skellydirge and it's actually pretty good. It's a great physical wall. That's basically its purpose. When you need a physical wall with Unaware, you can use this. It would be great. With Will-O-Wisp Burns and Torchsong Boots, it can even become a sweeper and really annoy bulky Pokemon on the opponent's side, like Toxapex or Slowking Galar. It can annoy that. It can burn the dark types. So like, yeah, there's definitely a lot of utility with this thing, and its ability Unaware and typing and bulk, physical bulk especially, is very helpful sometimes. The problem with it is that you can't use it in every team. You kind of have to use a bulkier team for it to work, which is what kind of tanks its viability. Next up, there's Sylveon. This is another Pokemon that I don't know why is ranked. I would put this in D tier. I don't see any reason why I would want to use the Sylveon. It doesn't check anything in the tier. So like, yeah, I don't know why I would use this thing. And for T-Tower and Mega Tyranitar, both of them are kind of similar Pokemon. That's for sure. And like, after I'd used Mega T-Tower, it wasn't a good experience, I'll say. But yeah, they can be used. You can probably run like a sand team with it too. But other than that, as individual Pokemon, I don't think they have that much to do in the tier right now. They just don't. Pursuit obviously doesn't exist. And like, yeah, you get burned, you get hit by super effective moves. So like, yeah, it's just hard. Mega Meganium exists that one-shots Tyranitar because Mega Meganium also ignores Tyranitar's def boost. Somehow that's how Mega Meganium's ability works. That even though it's supposed to work only on Meganium's moves and it doesn't affect anything that's happening to the opponent, but it still ends up ignoring Tyranitar's def boost, I guess. So it's kind of weird, but it's how it works, I guess. So that's it for the viability rankings. I explained all my thoughts in these rankings, but there are a few Pokemon that I would want to rank, Pokemon that I have used or seen being used that can have some place in the tier. First one is Mega Chandelure. That comes to mind. Mega Chandelure, I recently used it in a video and I became a fan of this thing. This thing is really, really good. Like really, really good. Very underrated. It's incredibly powerful, incredibly bulky, and its speed is good enough to be good in the tier, I guess, because it's outspeed some of the common Pokemon in the tier like Rotom, Samurott, Cerulege, Excadrill, Glimmora. All of these Pokemon, Cerulege can outspeed, which is great. And it has Wisp. It can run Wisp to cripple dark types. It has the necessary coverage it needs, Psychic and Energy Ball. And it has Calm Mind, and Fire and Ghost is an incredibly offensive typing, so like it really takes advantage of that. It has the same special attack start as Mecha Alakazam and has a better offensive typing, so like you can tell how powerful it can be or how annoying it can be to face. Next up is Arcanine Hisui. I recently used it in my Clefable video, and I would say I think Arcanine can belong in B. It does get walled by Garchomp, Hippowdon, and Quaquaval, but other than that, nothing really wants to take its stab moves, which obviously means that like, yeah, it can definitely be annoying for person using Corviknight or Rotom as their defensive chunks to handle, or Toxapex as their defensive chunks to handle, because Head Smash hits like a truck. Next up is Mega Scovillain. That Pokemon, I mean, I used it. It was a lot of fun. It basically gets carried by its ability, burns everything that touches it. By touch, I don't mean contact, just basically hits it with a move. They'll get burned, guaranteed 100% every time. And it's really fun. It's actually really fun to use this thing. Other than its ability, it doesn't really have anything else going for it, so it can't be ranked higher. But because of its broken ability, it does have use where you can actually use this Pokemon and be fine. Next up is Mega Victreebel. Mega Victreebel is another Pokemon that is carried by its ability, but unlike Scovillain, it's not as broken, right? And for Mega Victreebel's ability to work, it actually has to die, which can be annoying, because like if you say you have a Charizard X that wants to set up and collect favorites, it can't, because if you bring in Mega Victreebel, it's just going to die along with it. Which would be bad for the opponent, because Mega Victreebel for a team is probably useless. It's literally there to take down their strongest Pokemon so the rest of the team can do its job. So like, yeah, it can be annoying, but it's offensive typing and its move pool is really bad, so you can't really rank it higher than C tier. There are a lot more Pokemon I've said about here as well. Yeah, Mega Feraligatr. Yes, Mega Feraligatr, Basculegion, Azumarill. Yeah, Mega Feraligatr, I would rank in B. It's pretty good. I personally love Facade Iron Tail sets. They are amazing. And like, yeah, you should try it. Mega Feraligatr can be good as a physical sweeper. That's about it. Basculegion, it's good in rain. That's its only use. So yeah, like yeah, you can use it in rain, so that's why it does have viability. It goes right alongside. That's why it goes in B-, because it has one thing it can do, which is being a rain sweeper. And like, yeah, if you want to use rain, you go with Basculegion, otherwise you ignore it. Next is Azumarill. I used this thing in Trick Room and it was pretty good in Trick Room. It can probably be used outside of Trick Room as well. For now, I'll just rank it in B-, because yeah, B-, because aside from being like a belly drum sweeper, since Choice Band doesn't exist, Azul Twist doesn't exist, it doesn't really have much use. Like, I guess Sap Silver sets could be good against Mega Meganium. Maybe someone has to try it, but other than that, not much, right? Not much. You have to use it in Hyper Offense or Sticky Web or Trick Room, and that's about it with belly drum. Then there's Crabominable and Runerigas. Like these two Pokemon are good in Trick Room, so that's why I'll just put them in C, because like I used them in Trick Room. They were great in Trick Room. Outside of Trick Room, they don't really have any use. Like Mega Crabominable technically can be used, because I saw one person using it outside Trick Room, and the way they were doing it is that they just click Ice Hammer. And because Corviknight is the most common physical tank and Garchomp is the most common physical tank, Garchomp doesn't want to come out on Crabominable. Corviknight does, but since Corviknight's faster than Crab, it eats an Ice Hammer, and if it tries to roost, it takes a super effective fighting move. And that fighting move could be Drain Punch, so you can heal your Crab, or it can be CC, so you can one-shot the car. So like, that could be annoying, and I might try that in the future as well, but for now it can remain in C. And for Runerigas, which was a Pokemon that was added in Gen 8, yeah, right here, yeah, we can put that in C as well. I would do one more and put Mega Golurk. Where is that guy? Where is that abomination? Yeah, I would put this thing in D because it is useless. Do not try to use Mega Golurk. I tried it and lost like 100 points because this Pokemon wasn't able to do anything. It wasn't able to do anything, which sucks. That's why don't use Mega Golurk. It's really bad. And yeah, that's about it. There are a few more Pokemon that can be viable, but I haven't used them myself, so I'm not gonna rank them overall. But like, I'm not gonna rank them, and even if I were to, they won't be any higher than B-. They would still be in B, C, or B-. So there's honestly not really any point. Like, yeah, overall, this is the tier list. These are some of the best Pokemon in the tier, from S to A-, and from B+ to B- are Pokemon that have some niche, can be useful in some teams, can be useful in a single team. Other than that, they kind of do struggle against the whole meta basically. But yeah, and then C tier Pokemon are basically gimmick Pokemon. If you want to use them, you have to specifically build a team with them, and they might work, they might not work. And then D Pokemon are completely useless. So yeah, this is the tier list. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.